What's up guys, Botha here. First podcast of Crossfit Urban Shack. Been long overdue. Right, today I want to talk about a very important subject to me myself as well, because I've suffered from it for a very long time. It's called an anterior pelvic tilt. So today I'm going to talk about what causes an anterior pelvic tilt, what are the repercussions of having an anterior pelvic tilt, and not, how can I say, nursing it, fixing it. And then obviously how to fix it, right? So anterior pelvic tilt happens because we all have day jobs. We're not all professional athletes. We all have day jobs sitting for 6-7 hours a day. Some people it's a little bit more. So what happens is your front hip flexors are constantly crunched in and they start to get very tight. And it is caused by a tightness of some muscles and a weakness in some other muscles. Right. Most of all, anterior pelvic tilt happens when you have a dominant hip flexor in front, a weak glute, and weak abs. So what happens is that when that hip flexor gets tight, it forces your pelvis, pulls down on your pelvis in front and forces it into an anterior pelvic tilt, creating an exaggerated arch here in the back. You get two types. You get an anterior pelvic tilt, which pulls it forward, and then you get a posterior pelvic tilt, where you've got strong overactive abs and the super strong glutes. Then there is the anterior pelvic tilt is a strong hip flexor, weak glutes, weak abs. Right, so the exaggerated arch that we're experiencing here in the back is caused by your lower back, your lower lumbar, lower back, both the same thing. What happens is, as soon as my pelvis is tilted forward, my body is forced to create an extension, keeping me upright. So when that tilts, my body wants to do that. But then my lower back says, right, I'm this small muscle, but I can do that work. Pulls you back all the way straight. That's causing that arch, crunching your lower back into each other. That's why people tend to suffer from a lower back pain, because it's constantly under pressure, constantly under stress. Another repercussion is tight hamstring. The biggest mistake that I made myself was constantly feeling tight hamstrings. I used to be super loose, be able to touch my hands flat on the ground. All of a sudden, when I started getting this anterior pelvic tilt and not knowing what it was, I used to feel my hamstrings being very tight. What did I do? I went and stretched hamstrings every single day, and the pain just got worse and worse and worse. The reason for that being, as my pelvis tilts upwards, it is already placing a major amount of stress on my hamstring. Tilting upwards, pulling my hamstring as far as it can stretch. So I can feel my hamstring being very tight, and logically I'm saying stretch it, get it looser, but all that's doing is making it tilt higher, 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 creating a worsened problem for myself. Another cause, or how can I say problem of the anterior pelvic tilt is the stretching of the abs. So what happens is, as that pelvis tilts downwards, it's constantly stretching your abs. Same as your hamstring, constantly stretching it, stretching your abs all the way to the front. So you might have strong abs or a strong core, but you're definitely not at your optimal performance, because your abs cannot contract fully whilst they're constantly stretched. Finally, the extreme, which doesn't happen to most people, but it happened to me myself, is the person tends to get sciatica, which is pinching of the sciatic nerve. So the sciatic nerve is attached at your lower lumbar, lower back. It goes all the way through, down your leg to the back of your knee. That is the longest nerve in your body. So what happens is, with that pelvis tilting upwards, it's crunching your lower lumbar into each other. The discs in between your lumbar tend to squeeze out, and the nerve being so close to that lumbar gets pinched by that lower disc, which causes you constant lower back pain, constant numbness in the leg. So a lot of athletes and a lot of clients that I see tend to complain about lower back pain, and they say, yo, it's deadlifts, yo, it's squatting in this and this. Yes, that will aggravate it if you have an anterior pelvic tilt. But now, from here on, we have to fix that problem. Finally, we're at the best part. How to fix an anterior pelvic tilt. So what the 4 points you want to do is strengthen your glutes, stretch your hip flexors, and strengthen your abs. Stretch your lower back. It's 5 points. strengthen your hamstrings. Right, so today we're going to work on 2 of them. We're going to do a sort of a 2-in-1 deal, which I like. 2-in-1 deal, as I like to call it. What we're going to do is we're going to pre-stretch your hip flexor and pre-load your glute. So come here for me. What we're going to do is 1 foot in front. It's sort of a combination of a sprinter lunge, bit of a modified one. Pre-stretching my hip flexor, pre-loading my glute. Upright position from there, straight down as low as you can. Feel that tension in the glute. Straighten up all the way. And that will in turn stretch my hip flexor in front and strengthen my glute at the back. This is the best of the exercises that I think. There are a lot of other exercises for your glute, but they tend to incorporate a lot of other muscles that I think takes the focus away from strengthening your glutes. So I like this little bit of a combination one. Quick recap. Right, so what we're working on today is stretching your hip flexor and strengthening your glute. The other points that we're going to work on in the weeks to come is strengthening your hammy. Remember, do not stretch your hamstring, it only worsens your problem. So, strengthening your hamstring and strengthening your abs flexor free. There's a lot of exercises that you can do for your abs, then which makes you incorporate your hip flexors in doing those movements. I've got a lot of videos that are coming up that will be showing you how to strengthen your abs without using your hip flexors. So, flexor free. Right guys, thank you so much for watching. That's our first podcast done and dusted.